please mute your audio and turn off your camera while you're observing. We will take questions in the chat at the end of the presentation. But if you continue muted with the cameras off, will allow for everyone who might not have the bandwidth to be able to fully view the presentation. As a way of taking a record of who's present, if each of you could please type your name, organization, and an email address into the chat box. This way, we'll be able to follow back up with you if you have any questions that we're not able to answer to on this webinar. Additionally, please note that this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted along with the PowerPoint slides on the Oakland County Access to Transit Program website. And as you're looking at the screen, you can see the URL. I'm not going to describe that. Again, questions that come up, please type them in the chat. We do have Kristen Wiltfang and Dominic Pavone of our team that will be monitoring the chat. Some questions might be answered during the program, but we'll get to the ones that aren't at the end. Next slide. I'd like to start by describing generally the Access to Transit program. And the slide you're looking at on the screen now describes the transit services in your community. The fact is that the Oakland County Transit Division was created back in 2023, and we started by establishing 5 service agreements with transit providers, enabling us to provide transit service throughout the county. In the southeast quadrant, we have SMART. Most folks typically are familiar with SMART. And then as you look at the slide in front of you, starting in the southwest and working our way north and easterly, we have People's Express, WODA, NODA, and OPC, all community-based providers. We'll cover that in a little more detail. But these are the transit operators. If you have any questions for the transit service provider in your community, these would be the folks that you would reach out to. Next slide. So the questions come up is we talk about access to transit program. What do we mean by transit? So transit takes different forms and has different functions. At the left side of the slide, you can see community transit, which is a smaller transit van or cutaway that generally provides demand responsive service to the community at large, whether it's general public, elderly, veterans, or others. To the right of that bubble, you'll see microtransit, and in Oakland County, SMART operates a service they call Flex, and that is a form of transit where you would organize your trip using an online application, and they would schedule the service with you online. ADA paratransit is a curb-to-curb type of service, similar to community transit, generally relies on smaller vehicles. The difference is this is a federally mandated program, and it has different service schedule and different service parameters than the standard community transit. And last and not least, the one that most are probably familiar with, that's the fixed route service that runs along a route, picking up and discharging passengers at bus stops. Next slide, please. And so when we talk about service, there is particularly access to transit service. The different forms of transit have different means of access, and your project should try to coordinate the type of service that you're providing with or that's being provided or accessed with the type of application. So at one level, at the left side, again, we get back to the paratransit, the door-to-door service, where the driver actually will assist a rider from their residence into the vehicle. It's generally not the type of public transit that's provided because of the door-to-door nature of it. I want to skip over to the third bubble, which is curb to curb. Most of the community service providers, as well as other demand responsive service that is not considered the ADA paratransit, is described generally as curb to curb. This way, the driver pulls the vehicle up alongside of the curb, adjacent to either a residence or a sidewalk. The driver stays with the vehicle, the rider comes out, enters the vehicle, and they're then taken to their destination. And similarly, they are dropped off at the curb, either behind the sidewalk to a lead walk or driveway. But it's not door to door, it's called curb to curb, and that's the predominant form of transit service that we have throughout Oakland County. The virtual stop to virtual stop is the microtransit flex, and that stop is identified by the operator. So when you book your trip, they will give you an either intersection or address to wait, and the vehicle will pick you up at that location. And then again, the one that's probably most familiar and common is the bus stop to bus stop, which is the fixed route system. And looking at last year's access to transit application, we've seen a number of applications for things like bus shelters and key walks and sidewalks to get folks comfortably, safely, and conveniently to bus stops. Next slide, please. The Access to Transit program this is the second year that we're facilitating the program. The Board of Commissioners has allocated $2 million for us to provide financial support to municipalities. So this is a program oriented at cities, villages, and townships in Oakland County. And all phases of a project, from design, acquisition of hardware like a shelter, implementation of projects, are all eligible. What we're orienting on is making it easier, safer, and more comfortable to get to and or wait for bus transit service. Next slide, please. One might ask why. So as I mentioned earlier, Oakland County Transit, the millage was passed in late 22. We were organized during early 2023, quickly entered into service agreements with operators, and realized that folks have accessibility troubles getting to the transit services that are available. So in working with the Board of Commissioners, they were insightful enough to identify a funding opportunity so that we can enhance the accessibility for folks to get to the bus stop. What says underneath is that, and unfortunately now I'm in the group, those of us age 65 and above, there's going to be about 30% more of us in the county over the next 10 years. There are challenges not only for folks like me that are older, but there's issues with regard to sidewalk systems, either inadequate or incomplete systems for pedestrians and or bicyclists. And then safety is another issue here in Oakland County, particularly when we try to look at a number of pedestrian or bicycle crashes in proximity to transit stops. So we looked at an area within about 5-minute walk from transit stop, and over half of our fatal or serious pedestrian and bicycle crashes occur in that area. So as a county, we are looking forward to working with our local community partners and making it safer, easier, and more convenient. And let's see if we can change some of these statistics. At this point, I'll turn it over to Lindsay, who will take you through the rest of the slides. Thank you.
Hello all. Now I'm going to get a little bit more specific about project eligibility. There's an opportunity to fund 4 project phases, and that's conceptual design, preliminary engineering, bidding and construction engineering. Some of those project types are improving universal accessibility, such as curb ramps and pickup drop-off areas to make them more compliant ADA. bicycle facilities and amenity such as bike lanes, racks, and repair stations. Bus stop enhancements, so at the bus shelter, signage and lights, or electronic schedules, and intersection improvements such as crosswalks, pavement markings, refuge islands, traffic signals, or maybe even roundabouts. Some more eligible projects include bike share stations or mobility hub elements, filling gaps, sidewalks, and multi-use paths to connect and fill gaps to complete a pedestrian network, street lighting, streetscape improvements, trees and benches, anything to make it more comfortable for the rider to sit and wait for the buses. Wayfinding signage that directs individuals to transit stops and facilities specifically, and any other innovative ideas that maybe wasn't listed. I encourage you to reach out to myself or Eli to discuss potential projects. So be creative. All 6 projects that were awarded last year, the first year, are moving forward successfully, and most are scheduled to be completed in the spring or summer of next year. As you can see, we funded 6 different phases and different types. So as I mentioned before, be creative, and we look forward to seeing what you can come up with to help improve transit in Oakland County. So how will the projects be selected? We'll look at a variety of criteria while we score the projects. Aside from just the relationship and proximity to transit, we're going to look at how it improves safety, how it's accessible for all users. Is there public support? Is there equity, community, long-term maintenance plan ahead for the project? And the selection committee consists of stakeholders across the county. Individuals that are not eligible to receive the funding sit on that committee, and we'll be meeting to discuss the projects as they come in. How will the projects be funded? So there's grant award limits for each of the phases. The conceptual design phase is 15 grand to 50,000 for that. Engineering is 25,000 to 100,000 available. Bidding to construction is 150,000 to $1 million, and the construction engineers up to 15% of the construction cost. Keep that in mind. There is a 20% local match, but there's an opportunity for that to be waived or partially waived if a community is in need. You'll contact us directly, and we'll walk you through that. As far as the payment goes, we do give you 50% at the time that the contract is fully executed, and then the remainder will be paid when it's completed and we've received your final report. So what is required of you for the conceptual design and preliminary engineering projects? You must commit to moving forward with the implementation and construction, so that it's a 2-part. If you are going to be submitting a grant for those early stages, that you'll commit to finishing it. Must comply with all ADA requirements, and coordinate with transit providers, road agencies, property owners to get your necessary easements, right-of-way, and permits as necessary. You must comply with the requirements of the Davis-Bacon Act, which requires that the construction and contractors pay their laborers with locally prevailing wages and fringe benefits. Certify that all design and construction was completed according to industry standards, and all necessary permits were obtained throughout the project. And lastly, when the project is complete, you'll install an Oakland Transit recognition plaque at the project location. So timeline, as you know, it's open. Application phase is open, and applications are due December 1. After that, the committee will score the projects, and Oakland staff will score and compile the recommendations. And then after the new year, the section committee will reconvene and pick which projects are funded. And you will all know in Q1 of 2026. So do you have something great in mind to apply for? Everything that you may need is posted on our website. All you'll need to do is go to Oakland Transit, click on Access to Transit webpage, and you'll find the program guide, due dates, a link to the application, our contact information, and so that's step one to get familiar with the process. You must obtain a certified resolution from your city or village council or township board, and then we have an example of what that might look like in the program guide to use. You also want to coordinate with MDOT and or the road commission to obtain a letter of support for your projects if it's located on one of their roadways. As I mentioned before, please reach out to myself or Eli if you have any specific questions about your project application. And that's all I have. So it's time for question and answers. If you had any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll answer those as necessary. Oh. Any
Is Kristen typing to him?
Kristen was gonna manage it.
Okay, we're not seeing any questions. If somebody has a question, maybe you can use the raise your hand and we can perhaps unmute you and we can have a conversation about your question.
Eli, we've got 3 questions in the chat. I can read them to you if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, if you could do that, Dominic, we're not seeing them.
Okay, the first question was from Allison. She asks, how much of the funding was utilized last year out of?
So last year's program was a little under 800,000 of the county dollars were awarded.
Okay, thank you. The second question is from David. He asks, can the grant be used to purchase and install RFBs?
To the extent that the pedestrian enhancement is related to access to transit, the simple answer is yes.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Sarah that says, does the resolution need to be included by December 1st? We've already missed the window to make the council meeting in November.
Appreciate the question. And as a county sponsored program, we're particular that we meet our criteria. So we will need a formal resolution, but we can be a little flexible on the deadline. We understand local processes and meetings come and go. So as long as it fits within the framework before we need to get the packet compiled and presented to our selection committee and or the Board of Commissioners, we'll work with you to make sure that you have the time necessary to fulfill the administrative requirements.
Okay, those are,
No, not by December 1st.
gotcha. Thank you, Eli. Those are the 3 questions that I'm seeing in chat as of now. And if anyone wants to ask a question verbally, they can raise their hands and I can unmute them, or they can unmute themselves to ask.
Thank you, Dominic.
Mhm.
Not seeing or hearing questions, I'd like to at least take this opportunity to thank those of you who tuned in for joining us. We do look forward to receiving your applications. Anything we can do to help facilitate questions that you might have, please reach out to us. Our contact information is on the screen. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Staff will stay on this link for the next couple to 5 minutes in case anyone comes up with a question. Otherwise, again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Eli, we do have another quick question here from Allison. She asks, are you still accepting volunteers for the steering committee?
Yes, are you interested? Yeah, I'll send you the information.
Perfect. She said she was interested.